Hello and welcome back to the channel. The story of Elijah McClain is one of those that shows that it doesn't matter how innocent you are, what a good person you are, how harmless you are, that you are still not off limits to a system who has given itself a pass to do these things for centuries. Now, although these officers and the one EMS driver has been arrested, although they've been arrested, look how long it took to get to this point. It took a long time because in this system, they struggle to hold themselves accountable for things done to black people. I would say that Elijah McClain and Botham Shem John, and I'm going to throw Tamir Rice in there too, and countless others, okay? They are very clear examples of how this system is not just coming after people that they consider to be criminals, but they come after the good as well. Now, for those of you who want to get technical on me, of course, I know biblically speaking, there is none righteous, no, not one. But from a human standpoint, you're talking about people who were harmless. Elijah McClain was a young man. He even pretty much begged for his life. He says, I'm just different, and I don't mean you any harm. In so many words. And it was very clear that he didn't, but that did not stop them from doing what they did to this young man. It was even stated that the chokehold was not warranted. Of course, they knew that at the time they were doing it. But when you look at that look on their face, it kind of reminds me of some of the old images where we'll see a whole group of Caucasians standing as a body is hanging. Now, I had a viewer say something to me that most people who were hung was usually because they deserved it. Well, this is what I have to say to that. We have seen images of children hanging. Families, the mother, the father, the children. So that argument that most people who were hung probably deserved it or did something, or they believed that they did something to deserve that, to me that is kind of like giving some justification to the actions of these people who made themselves judge, jury, and executioner. They have no right to do that, or they should have no right to do that, legally speaking. But we know what Bible prophecy says. Based on Bible prophecy, they are just carrying out what was prophesied that they would do. Not that they are carrying out a deed that is going to count as a righteous deed for them. It's just that they are carrying out the desires that are already in their hearts. They're carrying out those desires that are already in their hearts. Anyway, go ahead and take a listen at the report, and I will be right back.
The police officers and paramedics who stopped 23-year-old Elijah McClain and administered a fatal dose of ketamine to the unarmed black man are being charged with homicide, more than 2 years after his death. A grand jury indicted 3 Aurora, Colorado, police officers and 2 paramedics on a total of 32 counts Wednesday afternoon in a rare move to hold them accountable for acts while on duty. Every defendant is facing 1 count of criminally negligent homicide and a count of manslaughter, according to Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser, while assault charges vary among those involved in McClain's death. Our goal is to seek justice for Elijah McClain, for his family and his friends, and for our state, Weiser said Wednesday. On August 24, 2019, McClain was walking home from work wearing a ski mask he wore to keep himself warm, because he was anemic. After a resident called police because McClain looked suspicious, Aurora police officers Nathan Woodyard, Randy Roedema, and Jason Rosenblatt pulled up and told the young black man to stop. But McClain kept walking because he had headphones on at the time of the verbal command, according to body camera footage. The cops then accused him of resisting, tackled him to the ground, and began to handcuff him. At one point they even placed him in a chokehold, a maneuver now banned by most police departments after the 2014 death of Eric Garner in New York. McClain fainted and vomited during the arrest. "I was just going home," McClain can be heard saying on body camera footage during the struggle. I'm just different, that's all I was doing. I'm so sorry." Paramedics were called to the scene of McClain's arrest by police after they determined he was suffering from excited delirium, a controversial state of agitation often diagnosed by cops, which later appeared on the black man's death certificate. The paramedics then injected McClain with ketamine, which is often used as an anesthetic treatment. But McClain went into cardiac arrest as they transported him to the hospital, and was declared brain dead on August 27. He was taken off life support 3 days later. On top of the homicide charge, 2 of the police officers who arrested McClain, H0MICIDE and Rosenblatt, also face an additional charge of second-degree assault with intent to cause bodily injury and 1 count each of a crime of violence related to the assault charge. And both paramedics who later arrived on the scene, Cooper and H0MICIDE, each face second-degree assault with intent to cause bodily injury, second-degree assault for recklessly causing bodily injury by means of a deadly weapon, ketamine, second-degree assault for a purpose other than lawful medical treatment, and 1 count of a crime of violence. Their indictment comes just over 2 years after McClain's death, which combined with the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others helped usher in a new era of scrutiny and accountability in American policing. Weiser was assigned to investigate McClain's death last year, but COVID-19 restrictions continued to delay the meeting of the grand jury, Weiser said Wednesday. During that time, questions into how Aurora officers handled their encounter with the black man continued, and an independent investigation in February determined the cops had no reason to place him in a chokehold in the first place. The grand jury made their decision last Thursday, but Weiser said his office delayed an announcement to the public to inform McClain's family first. "We're here today because Elijah McClain is not here, and he should be," he said. "He was a son, a nephew, a brother, a friend. When he died, he was only 23 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. His family and his friends must now go on and live without him." Last month, Weiser announced his department is currently looking into whether the Aurora Fire and Police departments have a pattern of violating the civil rights of its community members. The Aurora Police Department has been involved in several violent arrests that have received national attention. In July, an officer was charged with several crimes, including assault and official misconduct, for pistol whipping and choking an unarmed man. In August 2020, Aurora officers forced a family of young black girls and their older relative out of a vehicle at gunpoint and handcuffed them after mistaking their van for a stolen vehicle.
Okay, so it is a good thing that they were all charged with homicide. I'm glad to see this, even though it's years later. Again, this slow justice system when it comes to convicting white people has become more obvious because of the media, because of the internet, and because people are talking and they are demanding answers on things, not just black people, but people, period. They're like, okay, what are we going to do about this? This was a young man who was no threat at all, but you're going to just let them kill him and do nothing? No, people are saying, look, we want answers. This wasn't right. So I'm glad to see that they were convicted, or should I say that they are charged with homicide. I'm glad to see that that happened, but we have to see this thing through to the end. Okay, being charged doesn't mean that the story is complete, that it's over. There's still yet more to unfold in all of this, but at least this is a start. This young man did not deserve to die, and they treated it as if it was nothing. A whole lot can be said about that when you have that type of mindset to where you can kill someone, and then you go home and you sleep at night as if it's no big deal. Well, it is. I'm done with this story for now. Until next time, keep it tight and keep it right. We hope you liked today's topic. Please leave your comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it like this video, and with that, we're out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.